改めないなら、御父は人類の上に大いなる罰を下そうとされております。
Sister Agnes Sasagawa was a Japanese nun who became famous after seeing the Virgin Mary appear to her in the 1970s. It was a very special experience. According to stories, the Virgin Mary spoke to her through a statue in the nuns' convent. The statue even cried tears. Of course, people were amazed and shocked by this. They wanted to know more about what happened. Sister Sasagawa said the Virgin Mary gave her messages about the world and the church. These messages included predictions about what might happen in the future. Now people are talking about a prediction she made for 2024 that has everyone surprised. So what exactly did she predict? Join us as we discuss this and more. The life of Sister Agnes Katsuko Sasagawa. Before we reveal what Sister Sasagawa predicted for 2024, let's take a closer look at the incredible journey of this remarkable woman. Sister Agnes Katsuko Sasagawa, a name that resonates with resilience and faith, has a story that is both inspiring and miraculous. Born in Japan on May 28, 1931, Sister Sasagawa's early life was anything but easy. She came into the world prematurely, marking the beginning of a life filled with health challenges. Despite this fragile start, her determination and inner strength would shape her life in unexpected ways. From a young age, Sister Sasagawa faced a series of health issues that often left her bedridden or under medical supervision. Her childhood was marked by long periods of illness, but she never let these difficulties crush her spirit. Her family, though concerned for her well-being, was supportive and tried to provide as much care as they could. Living in Japan during this time wasn't easy either. The nation had been undergoing dramatic changes, and many families were struggling with financial pressures. This backdrop made her health battles even more challenging, but Sister Sasagawa's resilience helped her survive and continue her journey. At 19 years old, her life took a drastic and unexpected turn. While undergoing what was supposed to be a routine appendectomy, a medical error occurred, resulting in central nervous system paralysis. This condition left her unable to move freely for a staggering 16 years. During this long and trying period, she was shuttled from one hospital to another in search of a cure. Despite undergoing numerous surgeries, nothing seemed to improve her condition. Imagine spending 16 years of your life dependent on the care of others, unable to walk or do the simplest tasks on your own. The mental and physical toll this must have taken on her is almost unimaginable, but she endured it all with remarkable patience. During this time, Japan's medical system was also evolving. It wasn't uncommon for patients like Sister Sasagawa to face long-term hospital stays, and medical technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. The surgeries she went through likely involved extensive recovery periods, further prolonging her ordeal. But this period of suffering was leading her towards something much greater, something that would change the course of her life in ways she could never have predicted. A new path begins. While in a clinic in Mayoko, Niigata, she encountered a nurse named Miss W, whose deep Catholic faith became a pivotal influence in Sister Sasagawa's life. Miss W wasn't just any nurse. She was someone who embodied compassion and dedication, offering more than just medical care. Her devotion to her faith intrigued Sister Sasagawa, and this curiosity sparked a spiritual transformation. Over time, Miss W introduced her to the teachings of Christianity, and Sister Sasagawa began to explore the beliefs and practices of the Catholic Church. This was no small feat, especially given Japan's complex history with Christianity, which had been banned for centuries until the late 1800s. Sister Sasagawa's interest grew into a deep conviction, and despite her physical condition, she decided to convert to Catholicism. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Her parents, initially concerned about her health and the demanding nature of religious life, eventually came to support her decision. With their blessing, Sister Sasagawa joined the congregation of the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in Nagasaki. For a woman who had endured so much, this was a bold step. Joining a religious order meant dedicating her life to prayer, service, and community, even though her health remained fragile. Her spiritual journey took a significant turn in 1969 when she joined the Handmaids of the Eucharist. This religious community allowed her to live a consecrated life while still being part of society. It was a unique arrangement, one that suited her needs, as her health was still a concern. However, life didn't stop challenging her. In early 1973, she experienced a devastating loss: her hearing. The sudden and complete loss of her ability to hear was a shock, one that seemed almost unbearable after everything she had already endured. Doctors diagnosed her with progressive hearing loss, a condition that left little hope for recovery. The silence must have felt overwhelming, cutting her off from the world in a whole new way. Undeterred by this latest trial, Sister Sasagawa decided not to give up. She underwent intensive lip-reading training to regain some form of communication. Imagine having to relearn how to connect with people without being able to hear their voices. This would have required immense patience and determination, but she persisted. Then, in 1974, something extraordinary happened. While participating in Eucharistic adoration one morning, an angel appeared to her with a message that would change her life. The angel told her that her hearing would be restored temporarily between August and October of that year. True to the prediction, her hearing returned, but only for 5 months. This temporary miracle left a deep impression on her and on those around her. The prophetic angel and healing miracles. The next significant prophecy came on a day of deep spiritual meaning, March 25th, 1982. This day marked the Feast of the Annunciation, an important event for Sister Sasagawa's community. It commemorates the moment the angel Gabriel announced to the Virgin Mary that she would conceive the Son of God. On this sacred day, another message was delivered to Sister Sasagawa. An angel appeared to her, bringing words of comfort and hope. The angel assured her that her hearing, which had been impaired, would soon be completely restored. The angel said that this healing would come through the powerful intercession of the Virgin Mary herself. True to the angel's word, her hearing was indeed restored, marking yet another chapter in her remarkable life. This event further strengthened her faith and deepened the sense of awe surrounding her. But these miraculous occurrences were not limited to Sister Sasagawa alone. In the following year, 1983, her story began to intersect with the story of another person, Miss Teresa Chun, a Korean woman who had been in a vegetative state due to terminal brain cancer. Miss Chun's condition was dire, and there seemed to be little hope for recovery. However, something incredible happened when Korean pilgrims made a pilgrimage to Yuzawa, Japan, where Sister Sasagawa resided at the convent. During their visit, a miracle attributed to Our Lady of Akita took place. In a truly astounding turn of events, Miss Chun completely recovered from her vegetative state and terminal cancer. This miraculous healing further reinforced the growing belief that divine intervention was at work in these events. If the restoration of her hearing sounds astonishing, there is much more to Sister Sasagawa's journey. Her life has been filled with one miraculous event after another. These moments have not only shaped her own spiritual journey, but have also inspired awe and wonder among people worldwide. One such moment occurred on June 12, 1973. Sister Sasagawa entered the chapel, as she had done many times before. However, on this particular day, something unusual happened. She was immediately struck by a mysterious light radiating from the tabernacle. This light was unlike anything she had ever seen. It wasn't simply a reflection or a play of shadows. It was bright and luminous, as though it had a life of its own. The light seemed to herald something extraordinary that was about to take place. 2 days later, on June 14th, Sister Sasagawa was deep in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. Once again, the mysterious light appeared, but this time it was glowing in a vivid red hue. This wasn't a coincidence. The light seemed to be a clear sign. Father Yasuda, a spiritual advisor close to Sister Sasagawa, believed that these were manifestations from the Virgin Mary herself. He was convinced that the lights were a prelude to a divine encounter. Over the next several days, these spiritual phenomena continued to unfold, each one deepening the sense that Sister Sasagawa was experiencing something truly divine. Encounters with the divine. Now, let's fast forward to the eve of another sacred day, June 28, 1973, the Feast of the Sacred Heart. This feast is a celebration of Jesus Christ's love and compassion, symbolized by his Sacred Heart. On this special evening, Sister Sasagawa, along with the other sisters, was engaged in silent meditation. The chapel was filled with a peaceful stillness when suddenly something breathtaking occurred. A cloud of angels appeared, surrounding the altar in a celestial display that left the sisters speechless. It was as though heaven itself had descended upon the chapel. But this was not the end of the divine visitations. The following day, during the recitation of the rosary, another mysterious figure appeared to Sister Sasagawa's right. It was none other than her guardian angel. The angel did not merely make a passive appearance, but communicated directly with her. The angel shared prayers with her, many of which echoed the profound teachings given to the three shepherd children at Fatima in 1916. These prayers and messages were not just words. They were deeply spiritual communications intended to guide Sister Sasagawa on her path. The angel's presence and teachings connected her experiences with those of other visionaries across history, highlighting the continuity of divine messages throughout time. These encounters with the divine, along with the many miracles she experienced, became a testament to Sister Sasagawa's unwavering faith and the extraordinary life she led. Her story has continued to inspire countless individuals, reminding them of the power of belief, hope, and the possibility of the miraculous in our everyday lives. Signs and wonders, the stigmata and the weeping statue. On June 28th, during that same intense prayer session when the angels visited, Sister Sasagawa experienced something extraordinary. She suddenly felt a sharp, piercing pain in her left palm and arm. It was not just a fleeting sensation. The pain was severe and alarming. When she looked at her hand, she discovered something truly unsettling. A cross-like mark had appeared on her skin, and it was bleeding heavily. The wound was deep enough that the blood flowed down her hand, making it difficult to ignore. This wasn't just a small scratch. It was a wound that seemed almost impossible to explain. But what made this event even more incredible was that it wasn't limited to her body alone. At the same time that Sister Sasagawa discovered the bleeding cross on her hand, the wooden statue of the Virgin Mary in the chapel also began to bleed. This statue, which had been a silent and revered presence, now mirrored her suffering. The blood on the statue appeared in the same cross-like pattern that had formed on Sister Sasagawa's hand, and this eerie synchronization left everyone present both astonished and shaken, as if these miraculous events weren't enough to capture the attention of everyone around her. Things took another dramatic turn on August 3rd, 1973. In the middle of the night, Sister Sasagawa was suddenly awakened by her guardian angel. It was not a gentle awakening. The angel appeared with a sense of urgency and instructed her to get up immediately. This was more than just a nudge to rise from sleep. It felt like a spiritual warning, a call to prepare herself for something challenging that was about to come. The very next day, Sister Sasagawa experienced something terrifying. As she was preparing to enter the chapel, she suddenly felt the presence of something dark and malevolent. Before she could react, it physically assaulted her, leaving her shaken and fearful. She later described this experience as an attack by the devil himself. This encounter left her convinced that she was being tested by both heavenly and hellish forces, and it reinforced her belief that she was at the center of a significant spiritual battle. The miraculous tears and the healing of Teresa Chun. The supernatural events surrounding Sister Sasagawa didn't stop with the bleeding statue and the attacks. They continued to unfold in ways that astonished both believers and skeptics alike. On September 29, 1973, during the evening prayers, something happened that left everyone in awe. The same wooden statue of the Virgin Mary, which had already bled, began to sweat profusely. But this wasn't just ordinary sweat. The sweat had an unusual, oily texture and a heavenly fragrance that filled the chapel. It was as if the statue itself was alive, emitting a divine scent that could not be explained by natural means. This occurrence was not a one-time event. It continued to baffle those who witnessed it, with the statue producing an oily secretion that seemed otherworldly. The scent was described as sweet and fragrant, almost like a bouquet of fresh flowers, but with an intensity that lingered long after the prayers had ended. Many who were present during these moments felt a deep sense of peace and reverence, believing that they were in the presence of a divine miracle. Perhaps the most touching and emotional of all the miracles occurred on January 4th, 1975. By this time, the wooden statue had already bled and sweated, but now something even more extraordinary happened. It began to cry real tears. These were not symbolic tears. They were actual drops of moisture that fell from the statue's eyes, as if it were weeping for the world. The tears were carefully collected and analyzed by scientists, who confirmed that they were human in nature. This scientific confirmation only deepened the sense of mystery and wonder surrounding the events. On October 15, 1983, the miraculous power of the Virgin Mary, through the statue at Akita, reached beyond Japan. A woman from Korea named Miss Teresa Chun had been suffering from terminal brain cancer. Her condition was so severe that she had fallen into a vegetative state, with no hope for recovery according to doctors. But after prayers were offered for her at Sister Sasagawa's convent, something incredible happened. Miss Chun awoke from her vegetative state and began to show signs of improvement. Her recovery was so complete and rapid that it shocked the medical community. X-rays taken before and after her recovery documented the change, showing a complete healing that could not be explained by any medical intervention. It was a miracle that brought hope and faith to many who heard her story. Sister Sasagawa's encounters with the Virgin Mary. The year 1973 was a time of deep spiritual significance for Sister Agnes Sasagawa. That year, amidst the signs and wonders happening around her, she received 3 profound messages from the Virgin Mary herself. These messages were not just for Sister Sasagawa. They carried weight for the entire Catholic Church and resonated deeply with the global religious community. The setting for these messages was a humble convent chapel in Akita, Japan. This small, quiet chapel became the site of divine revelations that would later ripple across the world. It was a place where the ordinary routines of convent life were interrupted by extraordinary encounters with the divine. The first of these encounters occurred on July 6, 1973. It began like any other day, with Sister Sasagawa praying quietly in the chapel. But suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The statue of the Virgin Mary, which had been carved from a single piece of wood from the Japanese katsura tree, began to glow with an intense, supernatural light. This light was not just bright, it was radiant, almost as if the statue itself had been infused with the presence of something far greater than its physical form. During this encounter, the Virgin Mary acknowledged Sister Sasagawa's stigmata and hearing impairment. These physical afflictions, though painful, were interpreted by Sister Sasagawa as signs of her spiritual calling. The Virgin's message was clear and focused on the importance of making reparation for the sins of the world. She instructed Sister Sasagawa to recite the prayer of the handmaids of the Eucharist, a prayer that was intended not only to aid in her own healing, but also to serve as a means of bringing spiritual healing to the world through the Eucharist. This message was not just about Sister Sasagawa's personal suffering. It was a call to action. The Virgin Mary emphasized the importance of praying the Rosary and performing acts of reparation. These spiritual practices, she said, were powerful enough to mitigate the sins of humanity and bring about a deeper connection with God. The urgency of the messages. The second message, delivered on August 3rd, had a more urgent tone. The Virgin Mary expressed deep sorrow over the sins of humanity. She said these sins were hurting the Lord deeply. She also said that souls needed to comfort Christ and calm the anger of God. This message wasn't just a call to action. It was a serious warning. If people didn't repent, a great punishment would come to the world. This punishment would not spare anyone, whether they were good or bad. Sister Sasagawa was told to deliver these warnings to her superior, stressing how serious the situation was. The message also spoke of the devil's work within the church. It warned of conflicts within the church and a loss of faith that would shake the church to its core. On October 13th, the anniversary of the miracle of the sun at Fatima, the Virgin Mary gave her final message to Sister Sasagawa. This last message was the most dramatic, predicting fire from the sky and a punishment worse than the Great Flood. The Virgin Mary described a world left in ruins after the punishment. In this world, the living would wish they were dead. But even in this dark message, there was a promise. She said the Rosary and a sign left by Christ would be the only ways to survive the trials ahead. The Rosary was emphasized again and again as being very important for praying for the Pope, bishops, and priests. The investigation begins. Right after the strange events in Akita started, an investigation into Sister Sasagawa's messages began. These messages, along with the miraculous events surrounding the statue of the Virgin Mary, led the local church authorities to take action. This was not just any investigation. It was a complicated process that would last for decades. It looked into the supernatural claims that had surprised the local community and caught the attention of people around the world. The investigation officially started in 1975. That was when Bishop John Shojiro Ito of Niigata, who was curious and puzzled by the reports coming from the convent, contacted the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. This is the Vatican group responsible for protecting and teaching church beliefs. At that time, these supernatural events were being talked about far beyond the quiet town of Akita. They were raising questions and hopes across the globe. The Vatican told Bishop Ito that it was up to him, as the local bishop, to start the investigation. So, in 1976, a commission was created to look into it. However, this group could not definitively say whether the events were truly supernatural, leaving more questions than answers. Persistence and challenges. Not discouraged, Bishop Ito pressed forward. He had new guidelines from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, CDF, and was inspired by ongoing mysterious occurrences. By the year 1981, the situation had changed, with more evidence possibly supporting the supernatural claims. Because of this, Bishop Ito put together a full report of these new details. Even with all his efforts, the CDF did not seem impressed. They found the events unconvincing and did not want to open a new investigation. Still, Bishop Ito was not ready to give up. In the year 1982, he suggested that the CDF might have misunderstood the situation. The following year, in 1983, he met personally with officials from the CDF to make his case again. His persistence led to an important moment in the year 1984. After almost 8 years of looking closely at the events, Bishop Ito made a bold decision. He publicly acknowledged that the events around the statue at the convent had a supernatural element. He gave permission for the Holy Mother of Akita to be honored within his diocese. However, he made it clear that this was considered a private revelation. It was not on the same level as public revelation, which is necessary for salvation. Bishop Ito was careful in his wording. He explained that his decision was temporary until a final decision could be made by the Holy See. This showed his respect for the Church's structure and his dedication to finding the truth. Vatican and controversy. Things took another turn in June of 1988. By this time, Bishop Ito had retired. He met with Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who was leading the CDF at the time. Cardinal Ratzinger gave verbal approval to Bishop Ito's 1984 letter, which was an important, though quiet, sign of support. However, Cardinal Ratzinger did not officially judge the events as credible. The Vatican continued to be cautious. Even with all these discussions within the Church, opinions were still divided. In the year 1990, Archbishop Peter Seiichi Shirayanagi of Tokyo, who was also the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Japan, expressed doubt about the Akita events. He told an Italian magazine called 30 Giorni that the events should not be taken seriously anymore. This marked a big shift in how the Japanese Church viewed the Akita apparitions. It showed how complicated and sometimes controversial it can be to confirm supernatural events within the Church. Even after all the investigations and debates, the Holy See never made a final decision about the Akita events. This left the matter in a kind of theological uncertainty. However, Bishop Ito's declaration has never been reversed, either by his successors or by the Holy See. According to canon law, this means that the apparition remains officially approved for the Diocese of Niigata. Echoes of Akita in 2019. Just when everyone thought the story was over, something remarkable happened more than 40 years after the first events in Akita, Japan. In 2019, Sister Agnes Sasagawa, who had lived a quiet life after her earlier experiences, once again caught the world's attention. This humble nun received a new message that seemed to speak directly to the challenges and spiritual needs of our world today. One peaceful morning in October, something familiar returned to Sister Sasagawa. Her guardian angel, who hadn't spoken to her in years, visited her once more. The angel's message was clear and powerful. Cover yourself in ashes and please pray a rosary of reparation every day. Become like a child. Please offer sacrifices every day. The call to become like a child reminds us of Christ's words about how a pure and humble heart is needed to enter the kingdom of heaven. This message seemed to point to a deeper need for faith, returning to simplicity, purity, and genuine devotion. The daily rosary is more than just a routine prayer. It's seen as a spiritual tool, helping to fight against the many evils we face today, things like war, disease, and moral decline. The message Sister Sasagawa received in 2019 is connected to what has been happening around the world. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, rising tensions in the Middle East, and the unexpected global pandemic are just a few examples. These events have caused so much pain and suffering, but they've also made people rethink their spiritual lives. On top of that, natural disasters seem to be happening more often and with more force, making many people believe that a spiritual response is needed. Sister Sasagawa's message urges everyone to look beyond just the physical world and consider the spiritual meaning of these crises. A look at the future. Sister Sasagawa's prediction for 2024 shook the world. On the 6th of July in 2024, it will have been 50 years since the first apparitions in Akita, which originally called people to penance and prayer. But what Sister Sasagawa predicted for 2024 shocked everyone. She warned about what could happen by the end of the year if people did not follow the instructions given to her by the Virgin Mary. It's not every day that a nun living in a quiet convent in Japan sparks a global conversation, but that's exactly what happened. Now 93 years old, Sister Sasagawa delivered a message that spread across the world. Known for her connection to the events at Akita, her latest prediction has created a sense of urgency everywhere. This new message came during a visit from her guardian angel on the eve of the 50th anniversary of the first apparition at Akita. The angel, who had often brought her divine messages before, delivered this latest warning. The spiritual thriller of 2024. Sister Sasagawa's prediction for the year 2024 was not just about small changes in our spiritual lives. It was a bold and intense message, almost like a real-life spiritual drama. She described visions of natural disasters, social chaos, and spiritual crises. She said these events could be worse than anything humanity has faced before if people did not listen and take action. You might ask why she sounded so urgent. According to her message, the world is standing at an important turning point. The decisions people make now, through prayer and actions, could either prevent or bring on a series of divine responses. These responses are meant to guide people back to a better path. Sister Sasagawa's vision included details like unusual weather patterns that would disturb our everyday lives, political conflicts escalating into unknown dangers, and a noticeable decline in human kindness. She said that in the year 2024, there would be an awakening. This awakening could mean two things. It could be a harsh realization of the consequences of our past wrongdoings, or it could be a spiritual awakening if people responded to her call for repentance. As the year goes on, people around the world are watching and waiting. Whether through quiet prayers or heated discussions, they are thinking about what her words might mean. Will the events she predicted actually happen and surprise the doubters? Or could a collective turn toward prayer and repentance change the outcome for the year 2024? What do you think? Could there be a disaster if society does not return to basic values? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. While you're still here, click the video on your screen to see more interesting content like this one.